But it's great to have other podcasts doing, because like having this ability, always when we put people on the show, one of the things I'd look for is, have they done other stuff?
Yeah.
And even presenting isn't necessarily like useful.
Ooh.
Like being able to talk on a stage on your own is great, and you know how to present, and you probably know how to, some mic control, and you know how to be like engaging with hands and that kind of crap, and that's great. But do you know how to have a conversation, but an entertainment conversation?
Yeah. And not have any dead air be in the show.
And be able to do stuff like that, where you just jump in and out of each other's conversations, and because of but it's because you're looking to cover dead air, right?
Yeah.
But then also, that's the thing I love about listening to podcasts, and is it gets rid of the facade. When you're just having a conversation and two people then are there to kind of back each other up, get rid of dead air, make sure that it's all kind of running, and no one gets to the point and go, oh, well, you know, like, yeah. And then everything dies out, right? Because you're there, you start going in different directions, and the facade of maybe what you would only say if you had time to think about it goes away, and you have to be yourself.
Yeah.
Which is why it's also not a great medium for everybody.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. Well, then off the back of that, like, what are your sort of podcast heroes? Who do you look up to? What are you listening to?
Originally,
and not just mine.
No, yeah, obviously the Rogue Spec podcast is right up there. I love it. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Yes. That's for you, Ollie, not for this guy. Mean, so mean. So originally for me, it was Kevin Smith, because the first podcast I was ever on, Tony had a podcast but hadn't invited me because he hates me. But he was going somewhere and doing something. I think he was, at the time, he was coaching football. And whenever the show was scheduled to go live, well, it wasn't even a live show, but it was, you know, he sticks to his guns, old Mr. Tony. So I know that show's going to go on. And he was like, would you mind hosting my podcast? And I was like, sure, what's a podcast? It sounds like a lot of fun. Let's do it. So he sent me links. He was like, what do you like? You know, and at the time, I know he was listening to like football podcasts and history. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if that's really me. I don't know if it, and I found that Kevin Smith had stopped making movies and just lent massively into being a podcaster. Because much like me, he likes the sound of his own voice. So Kevin Smith originally, and especially the fact that he not only had a successful podcast, but had a successful podcast network. It started with Smodcast. At one point, there was like 27 or 28 podcasts he was on.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful podcast, which just stopped because that's also his problem, because he starts so many shows. But he did a show called Tossed Salad and Scrambled Eggs, which was him and one of the guys from The Nerdist rewatching 2 episodes of Frasier every week. Right?
I definitely heard of that one.
And they got like 10, 15 episodes in tops. They didn't, I'm sure they may have got to the end of the season 1 finale, right? And jumped into season 2 and been like, oh, we're going to do 4 episodes this week, and just jumped out. But he's got another show called Edumacation, which is him, and as he quite rightly professes, like the smartest man I know. And it's a guy who used to write for The Tonight Show and for a show which is named similar to this show, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. But like really super high level, intelligent guy. And basically Kevin Smith gets this guy to explain things to him. And Kevin Smith is you know, leans into being the dumb guy in that and has fun with it. So they have a really good time of just, and I love that. Originally, that was I just love the kind of like punk Wild West thing about podcasting, how it's like, I like this is fun, let's do a show, and it can happen. I love the fact that it's still the same people we speak to today. They still got that little edge in them, and it's like, okay, you're in IT, but you're a bit of a badass, right? Because you want to do a show and actually get it out there, and everyone else is cowering in the background. Like, you can get out there and push that out there. Or same thing of just working with podcasters. They've all got this kind of same thing. Really lovely people, really affable, really good at conversation. They want to have a conversation as well. There's nothing better than like watching a podcaster watch you speak, because they're like, yeah, he's doing it. He's doing, I don't have to say a goddamn thing right now.
Perfect.
So that, and then Tony got me into Joe Rogan for a long time. Really fell into that heavily. Loved it. Kind of before the Spotify sale, really liked how small an operation it was. It was Joe Rogan and Jamie Vernon, and that's it. And they had some of the biggest guests, celebrities or whatever on the planet coming onto this show, and it was regularly getting 20 million views when Saturday Night Live's big shows get like 18 or 22. Like The Rock's on it, and they get 25 million, and like he was just doing episodes of random people, and it was just getting that. So I think that's those are the people I really, really kind of fell for. But at the moment, I'm listening to the worst podcasts.
Is it the Rogue Specs podcast?
It's not. No. When because I'm up to date. You only release one a month. I slammed them all. So you listen, you learn. No, I'm listening to a show called Wild Goose. And it's Zach Wilde and his bass player. And Zach Wilde is Ozzy Osbourne's guitarist, or also a guitarist in his own right, and plays for a band called, or has a band called Black Label Society. And it's awful. It's just two musicians talking, and like, yeah, man, hey, yeah, it's metal, yeah, and I love it. It's the audio's bad, the content's all over the place, but it's just really charming, and I'm just so into it at the moment.
Fair enough. Me, I usually go for the comedy sort of podcast. So there's one called Off Menu with the comedians James Acaster and Ed Gamble. And they get a guest on. They have this fictional dream restaurant, and they said, "What's your favorite starter, main course, dessert, drink? Still sparkling water, bread or poppadoms, stuff like that."
I've heard of that show from Great British Menu and MasterChef. They talk about that a lot.
Yeah,
I think it's killing it in the food community as well.
It makes me hungry, but also I belly laugh.
Okay.
Yeah. They had one of them, they randomly got Dan Aykroyd from Ghostbusters and Blues Brothers, got him on the show. And I don't think he knew what kind of show he was on, because he just didn't let Ed or James get a word in. And he just talks 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And it was over. It's usually an hour long, maybe an hour and a half. They actually go into like deep dive, restaurants, their favorite restaurants they've been to all over the world.
That's a good one.
But he just had this one place in Canada. You'll be drinking my vodka. He's basically plugging it. He has his own vodka.
Yeah, the skull vodka.
So he was plugging that, and then it was about not even half an hour long.
Oh, wow.
And then he's like, "Right, guys, I'm done."
Oh no.
Yeah.
And they're like,
he's like, "Okay, bye, Dan." That was hilarious. So I'd say check that one out. But that started because Bob Mortimer was on it.
Really?
Yeah. So that one was just chaos. Like you can imagine, we're both big Bob fans. So it started from there, and there's that one. I also listen to, because I'm a big fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Okay. They've now made a podcast where they've gone back. They're in their 15th season, but they've gone back and started rewatching
the actors who are in the show.
Yeah, the main three actors have gone back to the beginning to try and review and like say what sort of headspace they're in, if they think it holds up.
Yeah.
Because some of it
doesn't. Just a bit of the behind the scenes, the stories.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And how they got Danny DeVito on the show, that's really interesting.
Did that by chance start during lockdown?
No.
Started beforehand?
Actually started last year.
Amazing.
Like
after lockdown?
After lockdown.
Okay.
I think so.
Because it seems like a ton of actors during lockdown, when like they wasn't able to work.
Yeah.
They went like someone was like podcasting. People care about what you say. Please just podcast. You can do it from your bedroom. Please podcast. I've seen tons of shows kick off like that, where they go back and it's so interesting.
Yeah.
If you rewatch, if you like a show, if I like a show, I'm going to read IMDb about it. I'm going to go on Wikipedia. I'm going to look up trivia, and I'll watch videos about it. It's the kind of person I am. But what's better than actually get it from the horse's mouth?
Yeah.
And like, oh, do you remember the smell of that microphone that we used to hang over the stage or something like that? Oh, that's really cool. Like, you watch the show from then on, looking for someone to grimace when they're in that room.
But yeah, the one I was listening to this morning from them, they were detailing about an extra who had some sort of trouble on set on the day. It was his first job ever as an actor. Wow. And it got to the point where he was locked out of his trailer. And yeah, I don't want to go into it because it's gross, but it's just hilarious. Yeah, things they get up to, because it's quite that show really started with them really shoestring budget. Like all the broadcasters just didn't want to go near this show. They were like they finally got a deal with FX, and it went through a few changes. It wasn't even marketed properly. No one was watching it, but they somehow got a second season, and it just spitballed into this thing, and it's still going today. So
I love it. Well, look, we try and keep this in the 45 or an hour just to make sure that we're not covering you guys up and taking your time away while you're on a busy lunch break. So thank you all for watching. If you want to find Mr. Mason, where can you find him?
I'm here at the GLPro offices, but you can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm sure there's no other Mason Carters on LinkedIn. You know, I'm the only one. Or if you want to listen the dry humor of my voice once more, you could probably listen to the Rogue Specs podcast. Just put us on in the background.
We're going to put the link in the notes for this show just to make sure that you do hit this. I'm going to listen, right? So that's why I need the.
You mean you're not already listening?
I'm going to listen more than I was previously listening on other devices. So we'll put the link in the description of the show. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Mason.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh, well,
I had to say that.
It's been mostly yours. Take us to the bridge, sir. You're right here. Just take us out. Like, just make it happen. Just whenever you
Bye, guys.
Hot day. Well, there it is, kids. The wonderful Mr. Mason Carter. How good a guest is he? A podcaster, a delicious human being, and let's be honest, just good looking. Just straight good looking. So if you've only listened to the audio, check out the YouTube at GLProUK. You're going to enjoy it. He's just a delicious human being to drink in with your eyes. Also, please follow us at GLProUK on everywhere you can find us. We try and release content like this every week, and you never know, we just might have another Mason show coming up one day. It's up to you to find out. See you on the next episode of The Daily Show.